let's talk a feminist topic. Because, in case anyone doesn't know, I am a feminist, but I describe myself as a fundamental feminist. If you really want to know what that means, just fucking ask me or look up whatever video I've done on it, more than likely. But, on to the subject. So-called sexist jobs. You know, promo girls, you know, the girls that hold up the signs, the wrestling matches, those girls. Sex workers, pole dancers, strippers, them's ladies. Ladies that work in the area more so of selling sex or being sexy to get attention from whomever finds them sexy. Mostly men, but not always men. I mean, I can go for a sexy lady sometimes. I mean, come on, have you seen half the chicks that do that shit? Usually they look fantastic. And even if you don't like their bodies, most of them have on-point fucking makeup, and you can learn a lot of makeup tips from them, because holy shit can they do makeup good, usually really fucking well. I mean, not my kind of makeup, but whatever. Anyway. That's not supposed to be. Ignore it. Anyway. My personal stance on these jobs is, I don't really think there's a such thing as a sexist job. A job can't be sexist. People can be sexist. It's like saying that tree is sexist because it's shaped slightly like a butt, so it must be sexist. No. Jobs can't be sexist. They just can't. Sure, there are these jobs are kind of rooted in, like, sexuality and sexiness, and a little bit of that is, of course, based in objectification. But, honestly, tons of fucking jobs are based in objectification. I mean, obviously modeling is literally just objectification. But something being objectificationing doesn't necessarily mean that job is, like, horrible and evil and bad. People like to throw around objectification as, like, this poison evil word. And 9 times out of 10, yeah, usually it's pretty shit. But not in this sort of situation. It's like, no, you dumb fucks. And when it comes to jobs, like, have whatever fucking job you 9-year-old want. If you want to be a sexy beast holding up a sign for people to wrestle each other with, well, wrestle each other after, you know what that means, then you do that job. I imagine you probably get paid pretty well if you look good enough for the job and do the job well. And of course, there's more to those kinds of jobs, promo girls, you know, stripping and all that, than just moving your body around and looking good. You've got to have people skills. You have to be able to communicate with the fans or the people throwing money at you or wanting to do things with you. If you can't talk to them, you're not going to do very good at your job. You're going to do horrible at your job, actually, if you can't do those things. Like, this box is being held. But if you can't do those things, you're not going to be good at that job anyway. Doesn't matter how good you look. If you suck at the job, you suck at the job. So, and it is kind of annoying when you go up to people who sit there and say, no one can have those jobs. They're sexist, evil, they must be abolished, they must be destroyed. Generally, these people are what's known as TERFs, which are, well, SWERFs, I mean, fucking Christ, not TERFs, SWERFs, which is like sex worker exclusive radical feminists. It's a very specific branch of RadFem. RadFems suck. I hate RadFems. Most feminists hate RadFems. They suck. But RadFems are generally the ones who are saying this shit, because they're the radical ones, hence the term. But one of the things they believe is that there shouldn't be any jobs that are even remotely sexual towards women, which is just kind of fucking silly. I mean, the world would not be a better place without porn. Even asexuals, everyone really can just kind of be like, yeah, the world would not be a better place without porn. If you have no jobs with sex, you have no porn, no promo girls, strippers, none of that. And quite frankly, everybody knows sex sells. It's just a fact right now of society anyways that sex sells. Yeah, sure, that can be kind of annoying for people who are not sexual like myself, but it's not inherently sexist and horrible. If anything, have more sexy gigs for guys. So that it's like equal number of sexy shit between chicks and dudes and every fucking thing else. Make it more equal. And maybe just make things a little bit less ridiculous sometimes. Because I'll tell you, when I do see an ad where it's like, supposed to be in the winter but the girl's wearing a bikini, that's fucking weird. But anyway. What'll happen is you'll have these RadFems, these swerfs, arguing with people who are actually in the sex worker industry or actually promo girls, strippers, and stuff like that. And they'll be fucking bantering back and forth with the RadFem going, "You're sexist, your job's sexist, you're just bending to the will of the horrible evil men." And of course the sex worker or whatever being ever so much more rational, because RadFems are not fucking rational, basically defending their job, being like, no, it's just a fucking job. It's just a job. It's not inherently sexist. Jobs can't be. It's just, nah. My cat's killing his food dish. It's distracting me like crazy. Anyway. So, and ultimately, like, if these jobs were, like, so abhorrently sexist, far more people would have far more problems with them than they do, especially people who actually work these jobs. Because generally, when they're illegal jobs, you don't really hear people who had the jobs complaining all that much about the jobs. If anything, they complain more about the people who hate on the jobs. But that only goes, of course, for jobs that are actually legal. And that's another thing, is I firmly believe that prostitution should be completely fucking legalized, because then we can regulate it, have testing done, and everything else, make sure these girls are safe. And guys, I'm sure there's guys that are in that industry too. So, people who are, like, abhorrently hating on sexy jobs, honestly, I think they do more damage than they do good. They damage the jobs, and, well, they make the people working them look bad, honestly. Like, if you're calling these jobs inherently sexist and bad, you're basically calling the people who want to have those jobs bad and bending to the will of the evil man. And that doesn't reflect well on them. That just damages, basically, an already negatively viewed job. Like, jobs like that are already viewed as easy money that you don't have to do anything to really get. You just have to walk around on stage holding a sign or rubbing up against a pole or something. Which is not the case. They're not even sort of that simple. I wouldn't know personally. Probably would never know personally, because not for me. But I know from people who've worked those kind of jobs that, yeah, it's more than just an easy gig. All jobs have their own difficulties. And all jobs have their own goods, their own bads. You shouldn't be paperweighting them all as the same crappy shit or good shit. What are you eating? Oh. Piece of grass. And one thing I do like with this subject is a lot of the time with YouTube videos where I see people actually talking about this, a lot of the time they'll actually get someone who works in the industry to actually come on their show or whatever and do an interview. I don't have the ability to do that. I mean, the one I do know doesn't live here anymore, but I can't just magically make a person poof in my room. That'd be weird. Interesting. Useful. But it's not necessary, but it is nice to see, because, well, they're the ones who work the job. They're the ones whose opinion, frankly, matters a hell of a lot more than everyone else's, because they're the one doing the job. If they don't feel like the job is shitty and terrible and demeaning to them, then it's probably not. Now, of course, this works more so with the legal jobs, but, you know. And honestly, like, I haven't heard anyone who's worked in these jobs, legal ones, anyway, say this job's, like, horrible and demeaning and shit. And when you have these RadFems who talk about it being horrible and sexist and shit, I can pretty much guarantee you none of them have actually worked in the fucking industry. Pretty much guaranteed that none of them have. I haven't run into one yet who has worked in that industry. Though I have definitely met a couple that would say, I would never lower myself to such a horrible level. Which is like, just like, really, bitch? That's fucking insulting to people who work in that industry, you fucking gut. Anyway. And I do think that if, like, these RadFems, honestly, if they would get a sense of common sense, they wouldn't be random RadFems anyway. But if they would, like, actually maybe try the job in earnest, then maybe they would change their fucking tune about it a little bit and be a little bit less of a dick about the job. And maybe realize that it's way more than what they thought it was, and who knows, maybe they like it. And frankly, doing that kind of job, you'd have to be super fucking comfortable with your body. And that right there is body positivity, because frankly, like, body positivity is about loving your body and being comfortable with your body. And if these RadFems want to call themselves feminists, they better ought to be body positive. You'd think. And being comfortable with one's own skin, one's own sexuality, one's own sexiness, I guess, is definitely a requirement to work these kinds of jobs. I mean, if you're not comfortable with that, you'll probably look like an awkward shrimp trying to rub up against a pole. Or some guy's dick, depending on what job you're going in. And you're not going to make money looking like an awkward shrimp. So. Yeah. And I guess with that job, too, I guess if you were to get into it, you'd probably become more comfortable with your body if you aren't already comfortable with it. But I wouldn't recommend going to the job if you're like, I hate showing skin, because, yeah, those jobs kind of require it. Anyway, RadFems suck. They're pieces of shit. There's no such thing as an inherently sexist job. There's no such thing. And there's nothing wrong with any of the so-called sex industry jobs. There's nothing wrong with that. They're perfectly good jobs, just like pretty much every other legal job is a perfectly good job.